there's 1.5 million unvaccinated but eligible people in New York City as we're heading into cold weather, in other words, inside. Do you guys foresee some kind of a late fall or winter surge in the Northeast?
It's a good question, Brian. And I think for us, it's not unreasonable to expect at least some increase in cases as we go into the winter. We're hopeful that that's going to be the last increase that we see, or the last substantial increase in the U.S., but we would expect to see cases increase.
All right, well, hopefully, do you think if we do, and it's, following this, I know seasonality is a dirty word, Matthew, but it certainly appears that way. Do you think that will be the last peak? That will be it?
Our view has always been that we need to get to the second half of 2022 to really end the pandemic globally. I think if we can get through the winter season in the U.S., that might put us on a good trajectory. Obviously, we'll have to see how significant it is, but assuming no other variants, I think that could be a reasonable conclusion.
All right. Well, on Friday, the Merck news came out about the likelihood of the oral COVID treatment, its efficacy as well. It's not approved yet. It still has to be approved, but it certainly looks very good. And I was in Las Vegas, and we were kind of like almost hugging and laughing about it, saying, this seems like a game changer. Merck rose nicely. The market moved a little bit. Are we underestimating the impact of this potential Merck news?
I think, from a direct perspective, right, the market gave a lot of credit to Merck. And if you look more broadly than that, I think this is just one piece in the available treatment. So you have, for healthy young people, oral antivirals could be very good if you get infected or a breakthrough infection, but there's still a lot of other people that are at risk. And so those are at higher risk may need antibodies. And then I think the important thing for everybody to remember is that vaccines are the primary prevention tool, and still the only way that we really get ourselves in a good position and to get out of the pandemic is to get as many people vaccinated as possible.
Yeah, and vaccination rates have actually ticked up lately, which itself is good news. And by the way, this is not just Merck as well. You're our COVID specialist, but you are a pharma and biotech analyst by trade. Talk to us about Pfizer and Roche and some of their treatment, oral, pill-based treatments for COVID. How are they looking? Because if we can get 3 treatments in addition to vaccine, we can all see the damn finish line on this plague. Pardon my French.
Yeah. Sure, Brian. Yeah. So there are 2 other oral drugs in development, one from Pfizer and one from a smaller company called Atea. Both of those treatments are in phase 3 studies. We expect data on both of those before the end of the year. And we're hopeful that we see good data out of them. Hard to say if they're going to compare exactly to Merck, but they're both, from the initial data, look promising.
All right. Now, finally, I want to end with this, and I'm going to ask you to guess a little bit. We talk about the endemic stage, seen other countries basically say COVID's here to stay. We're going to learn. Even New Zealand and Australia, who pursued these COVID zero policies forever, and it didn't work, have now said, okay, we're going to have to live with this. When do you think we get to that endemic stage in the United States?
I think people want to see what happens this winter. If we can get through the winter without significant surges broadly across the country, I think that's going to make people feel a lot better. And I think, as you pointed out, right, as we enter 2022, we'll have hopefully more than one oral available. We'll have multiple antibodies available. So we'll have a broad range of treatment, which should further decouple hospitalization risk.